As AI reshapes business, companies in financial services, real estate, and insurance will need to adapt fast and remain compliant with regulations. Warrant is a marketing compliance platform for those companies powered by AI and based in North Carolina. I spoke this spring with Austin Carroll, founder and CEO of Warrant, backed in part by Brickyard here in Chattanooga, which provides early-stage capital for startup founders building companies with high growth potential. Austin, thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Tell us more about Warrant.
Warrant is an AI platform that checks marketing materials against everything from federal to state to local regulations to make sure that they're compliant.
And when we say marketing materials, what types of materials do we mean that most people might recognize?
Anything from billboards to social media posts to influencer marketing. Really anything that can communicate what your business does or what you do, you can drop that in the platform and get an instant review.
Does this check things such as copyright?
It does not check copyright. It's mostly concerned with regulations, like the government regulations. So basically, the government doesn't want any misleading marketing and misleading customers. So our tool basically prevents that, gives you that instant feedback, that gut check, if you will, and allows you to edit those projects accordingly.
And tell us more about how this platform works.
Very similar to a lot of AI platforms. What we've done is we've looked at the regulations themselves, very similar to how your lawyer or if your company has a compliance officer would look at the regulations. And then we see what applies here to marketing and how does that differ by product or by channel. And then we take all of that information and we created a policy library. So I like to think of it as a giant checklist of everything that you're not supposed to do in marketing. And then our AI is intelligent enough to check against that and also check most recent sanctions. So times that people have gotten in trouble about this recently. So it checks all of that and it gives you basically that scorecard back. And you can actually ask it questions as well. So if it flags something and says, hey, that was an absolute claim that may be misleading, you can say, why do you think that? Or what regulation says that I can't say that? And it will actually respond to you. In that way, it is kind of similar to like a junior lawyer or a junior compliance officer, but it's one that you can ask dumb questions to and actually get the response. So we found that a lot of our customers, they are learning a ton from this tool because they're asking those questions that they've never really been able to ask before.
How does this work faster than a junior lawyer? How does this catch potential blind spots that a junior lawyer might miss?
There's two kind of questions there. The first is, how does it move faster? So today in regulated industries, which we primarily serve, which is financial services, insurance, real estate, highly regulated industries. With these, you create a beautiful marketing material. Spend weeks going back and forth with graphic designers, copywriters. You have this beautiful piece ready, and then you send it to legal. And that's where the entire project stalls. So you're getting back and forth feedback from legal. You might get different feedback from different legal and compliance teams. And then you kind of have to go back to your team, rectify that feedback, and then send it again for review. So it gets trapped in this review process, which is really bad if you're trying to move fast, you're trying to get this marketing material out, or maybe you have a deadline that you're working against. So what our tool does is we eliminate those initial back and forth because you're getting that instant feedback. Even in the drafting process, you can drop a screenshot of what you think the billboard might look like and get that feedback. So it's bringing that feedback a lot earlier and eliminating a lot of the smaller things like, okay, you can't use money bag imagery on a billboard, for instance. It's catching that initially before you create this whole campaign around money bag emoji imagery, for instance. And the second piece you asked there is, how does this see things that a junior compliance officer or a junior lawyer might miss? At the end of the day, our policy library is over 1,000 regulations, and we're only talking 3 industries because there's so many local, state, and federal regulations that touch financial services, insurance, and real estate. There is no way in the universe, even if you've worked in this industry for 50 years, that you know every single thing that exists out there in terms of regulations or what is changing now daily with the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. We don't know how many of those regulations are going to stand if the states are going to take it over. I mean, I do this full time, and it's a lot for me to handle. I can't imagine a lawyer that's also dealing with everything the company is doing, and this marketing reviews are just a small part of their day-to-day. So those are the two ways that my platform really streamlines the review process, but also makes it a lot easier to have that second pair of eyes that consumes all of this content around marketing compliance.
How did you come up with this idea?
I was a marketer. So I spent the last few years doing fintech marketing. When I started fintech marketing, I was at a neobank, which was brand new. There had never been neobanks before. So a lot of what we spent the first couple years doing is figuring out what regulations applied to us and how should they apply and what regulations should we even be following. It made marketing really, really difficult. So I was kind of inspired to do this because I felt a lot of times as a marketer, I was constantly trying to figure out what we could say, what we couldn't say, instead of thinking about how can I make the most creative marketing campaign. So I really wanted to streamline this process for all marketers, make it easier to hire marketers into regulated industries as well, and just make it better for everyone. So that's why I founded the company.
What are some potential sectors for this tool beyond the ones that it's already in?
We're actively thinking about that. We have set up a really fun tool on our website that lets us know every visitor that comes and lets us see like what their LinkedIn is and what industry they're in. Getting a lot of interest right now from educators. So education is next for us, particularly higher ed. And the second is really looking at healthcare and also other restricted substances, cannabis, alcohol, even food. There's a lot of marketing compliance issues surrounding that in a very similar way as we see in insurance and real estate and finance.
And thanks to this AI tool, one client review process was reduced from 6 hours down to just 15 minutes.
Yes. A lot of that has to do with when you're creating huge materials, either for potential investors, in that case, a securities kind of marketplace. These are 100-page documents. To read through every single part of that document and look for absolute claims, comparison claims for words like best, worst, better than, that is a really, really long time. And you're going to put it off. Like, I don't know about you, but I'm not reading a 100-page document and looking for words. That's not like my favorite thing to do. So that's kind of why we saw that huge reduction, because the AI was able to take that first pass, tell that compliance officer, in that case, a compliance contractor, what they should look for. And they were able to easily kind of identify what parts of the document they should spend the majority of their time. And also thinking strategically, is this really what we want to be saying? Because that's compliance job. They're protecting the company. But a lot of times they're stuck saying that's an absolute claim. You can't say this, you can't say that. Instead of thinking, should we be doing giveaways? Should we be marketing this as a fee-free product if we might introduce fees in the future? Allows them to become a lot more strategic, but also allows them to save a ton of time.
Talk more about your background. You're a Duke grad. You've worked stints at Brex and Mercury.
Yes. I think my background is very interesting because I've been in marketing forever. Since I graduated college, I graduated Chapman, went to school for film school, really fell in love with communications and communicating stories, and then ended up in marketing. I did hospitality marketing, I did performing arts marketing, and then I went to school at Duke, and I was like, you know what? We always dealt with credit cards in the travel and performing arts space. I was like, credit cards, that must be so cool to work in. So I ended up being a product manager at Capital One. And a lot of people don't talk about this, but the first 6 months that you're in financial services or finance, it's completely overwhelming. You're like, wait, how do banks make money? I was never taught this in school. It's really overwhelming. And I just remember feeling like, I wish there was like a better way than sitting in all of these trainings. There's not even any book on how to do financial services marketing. It's all kind of hard-won knowledge. So I started thinking, okay, like I want to combine my product knowledge that I've learned here at Capital One with the marketing that I used to do. But how do you market in financial services? Luckily, Mercury was nice enough to take a chance on me. I joined Mercury as the first product hire actually, and I launched their IO credit card. And You're launching a net new product for a company that's never done it before. So a lot of missteps. And I really wish that I had a tool like Warrant to make the process a lot simpler, to be able to explain, okay, here's why we can't say that. Because a lot of times I was agreeing with the lawyers that maybe we were going a little too far. But it was a really great experience. And then, I went over to Brex, joined Brex to lead their banking marketing, their Brex business account marketing. Did that at a really interesting time. Did that 2 weeks before the collapse of Silicon Valley Bank. And Brex, as you know, I'm sure, was one of the top benefiters of that collapse. But suddenly we were in a Zoom call. I was 2 weeks in a Zoom call with the CEO of Brex, a unicorn fintech, saying, here's how we should take advantage of this bank collapse. Like, who has a strategy for that ready to go? No one. But we were writing it in that Zoom call together. And we all had to be in the Zoom call together because we had no system or process to approve marketing materials in any way that was faster than like 2 to 3 weeks. So we all had to be together in the Zoom call to make sure that we could communicate with our customers and with our prospective customers in a way that was a little bit faster. That's when I started thinking, okay, maybe we should have some technology. So did all of my customer research, having been in startups for a while and having gone to Duke, and then eventually decided that I would be the one to solve it after I couldn't find a solution that would be up to my standards and that was really a solution targeted towards marketers who live and breathe all of the content that a company produces versus compliance that wants a really great record-keeping software. So that's why I started Warrant.
Talk more about what brought you here to Chattanooga, your experience here, and the support from Brickyard.
Before Chattanooga, I was in Durham, North Carolina, which isn't that different of a town. Very education focused, less outdoors, but we still have some, and really good Southern food. So I was reached out to by the Brickyard team when we were raising our pre-seed round around the holidays. Never raise funding around the holidays. I don't know what I was thinking, but I was talking to them over Christmas, which was lovely. I'm sure their families appreciated that as well. And I just thought it would be a really great experience to come here and build with a ton of other founders. I was in Techstars. I did the Techstars remote program, and we did 3 weeks in person. And the best part about those 3 weeks wasn't the agenda with all the educational resources and things like that. It was being able to work with other founders and be able to collaborate and think, okay, how did you set up your CRM? Oh, I want to set it up that way. And so I knew that coming here and being exposed to that 24/7 would be super helpful, and it already really has been, which has been great.
And for people who want to learn more, where can they go online?
They can go to our website at hellowarrant.com. We also have a really fun newsletter about marketing compliance. I say it's fun because it's called Marketing's Most Wanted, and it's all about who's in trouble this week and how the regulations are changing. With this new administration, they are changing every day. So if you're in financial services, insurance, or even real estate, definitely recommend subscribing just so that you know what's happening. And it's in a much shorter order than what I do every day, which is read this constantly. So those are the two places to find us online.
All right. Austin, thanks so much.
Thank you.